How's it going out there? Welcome from H2 Tech Videos. This is pros and cons of the new iPad. Um, Thought to be iPad 3, actually third generation in the series, but is the new iPad. So this is going to be a little bit different from your normal pros and cons video. This is going to be a pros, mids, and cons. Okay, the reason I added mids because there's things that are not necessarily bad, not necessarily good, that I think are like, and those are my mids. Okay, but let's start with the pros. First thing is because of the new Retina display, text is a lot clearer on the new iPad. Just to show you real quick, I'm going to go into the internet, and text is a lot clearer. On the older iPad, when you zoomed in really close, detail wasn't that good, but now, because of the new Retina display, the text is clear, and I play with it a couple days, and I have the iPad 2, and in comparison, wording is clear, so, give that a pro. I would also put the new resolutionary display thingy, I would kind of throw that in the mid as well, only because if you're doing a lot of reading and the screen is, brighter, I guess in my opinion, I would say, wouldn't that make it harder to read for longer periods of time if the screen is so much brighter and more defined? So that was just one of my concerns. I'm not going over cons yet, but I want to throw that in there. I'm not sure how the person who wants to do a lot of reading, how they're going to take to the new screen. I don't read a lot on there, so I couldn't really share my perspective on that, but that's just me throwing something out there. Anyway, back to pros and cons. My second pro is that the new iPad is smart cover compatible. And so, bam, my smart cover is attached. And let me tell you why this is a pro. Normally, Apple is very proprietary, but they're also known for leaving their accessories behind. Okay, a lot of times they'll make all this cool stuff for it, and then the next generation, nothing works for it. If you've ever had an iPhone, every time they make a change, if you jump from the 3 to the 4, body shape is different. If you have the dock doesn't fit anymore. So I really liked that. At least the accessories still work. So the camera adapter, the HDMI adapter, VGA adapter, smart cover, all those adapters and those accessories still work very well. So if you had an iPad 2, then a lot of your stuff will already work for it. So I thought that was a great pro and great for anyone that's going to be upgrading. Third pro, a lot better camera. It's a 5 megapixel now, and I've taken some test photos and definitely see a considerable difference. I used to think the iPad camera was terrible on the iPad 2, so now it's just nice to see that they've put a decent camera in it. So those are my 3 pros. I didn't have too many on this one. Here are my mids, and again, these are the things I thought were not totally great, but not bad. So my first mid was the dictation feature that lets you, when you're gonna type something, for example, right here, the little microphone will pop up, and I can actually say Lady Gaga. So I can actually do a little search, and she pops right up. So this feature is good for just little quick searches. Let's see, Kobe Bryant. So there we go. It's pretty responsive, which I think is good. Now, a lot of the blogs I've read, and I agree with this as well, if you try to speak a long sentence to it, it isn't as responsive. So if I go into notes, and let's see here. How's your day going? I'm going to the market today. Then followed by, I'm going to go to Walmart, and then Best Buy, and then Target. That was kind of a weird sentence, but let's just see how it does with it. Thinking. So, sentence was maybe, it was 2 or 3 sentences, not very long. So, a lot of people, when they heard dictation, they're like, oh, cool, I can speak a paragraph, I can speak a whole novel, and it'll dictate it down for me. Well, this feature is only good for, like, quick words or short sentences. It doesn't do well with full long sentences or paragraphs. So that's why I call it a mid, because it's okay, But when you hear dictation, you hear I can talk. I can talk a lot, and this is going to take down all my words. And as you see right here, it didn't do anything. It jumped right over it. So that's why I call it a mid, because we've seen it work, but it doesn't do everything. When you hear dictation, you look for a little bit more than that. So that's why I call it a mid. My second mid is going to be that it's 4G. Now, for a lot of people, this was a huge thing, and people are praising this. It's not that great for me in particular, only because what you pay for 4G internet on an iPad, you could get a mobile hotspot from Sprint, Verizon, or AT&T, pay the same thing a month, but you can use that device, you can use that internet on anything, your computer, your tablet, your smartphone, whereas on the iPad, why would you pay $50 a month to only be able to use internet on your iPad? I mean, the average person doesn't just have an iPad. They have other wireless devices. Now, I know there's a feature now that will let you tether from your iPad with 4G if the carrier allows it. However, if you tether like that, it will kill your battery. So I've never been a big fan of getting the 4G or 3G option, just because if I'm going to pay all that money a month, I want to use it with all my wireless devices. I have a MacBook Pro, I have a laptop, PC, I have an iPad, and I have an iPhone. I got a lot of Wi-Fi devices, so in my opinion, the 4G, oh, it's great, we finally have it. I don't know, it wasn't that big of a thing for me. So anyway, that's a mid. Next thing, it's a little bit faster. I did some comparison tests between this and the iPad 2, and it is a hair faster, but it's not a lot. It's not like, oh my God, look how fast it is, I have to go out and get that. And if you look on my channel, I have a couple of videos where I'm doing side-by-side comparisons between iPad 1 and iPad 2, iPad 2 and the new iPad, and it just wasn't enough to say, wow. Now, if you compare the Transformer and the Transformer Prime tablets, huge difference in the speed. Like, when you see it, you say, I have to get this new one. So that was just my thing on that. Let me go ahead and move on. The next thing is, in Apple's keynote, they showed how now the iPad has iPhoto, which again, I thought was kind of a mid, only because anybody with an iPad can get iPhoto. It's not exclusive to iPad 3. You don't have to upgrade to a 3 in order to be able to use that feature. So to me, I don't know. If you go on their website, they use it as a selling point for the iPad, but it isn't really a selling point, because if you have an iPad 2, you can use that same app. So that's why I call it it's a mid, because it's good to have it, but it doesn't make me say, wow, I have to get the 3. You see what I'm saying? So those are my mids. Here are my cons, and I'm going to get out of here. I don't want this video to go over 10 minutes. First thing, it is heavier. It definitely is heavier, and I'll tell you why. I carry an iPad every day. I use it for work, and I notice a difference in the size of this. Now, if you've never felt an iPad, then guess what? You will not see the difference. But if you've had an iPad 2 and you use it, throughout the week, you will notice a difference. And my iPad has a case on it, and I still notice a difference. So my iPad 2 with a case versus the iPad 3 with no case, it's still heavier. So that was one con. I didn't think that was good. I think they were going backwards in that aspect. Second con is it's thicker. It's not lighter. I mean, it's not thinner, it's thicker. So I actually have an iPad 2 case. It was a case that snaps on the back, and it actually broke because I tried to fit it on here, and it was that little millimeter thicker, broke the case. It's bigger. So be careful you're trying to use your iPad 2 accessories. They're not all going to work. Next thing here, it's a little glitchy. I actually have a video that I'm linked on my channel, and it shows that there was a glitch in my camera. When I took a picture, it froze on the camera for like 2 minutes. The lens was just closed. So definitely wasn't pleased to hear that. And also, a lot of rumors are saying it overheats. Well, guess what? Mine also overheats. And it's always in this bottom right corner right by the charger. Okay? And it's hot right now actually as I'm holding it. Okay? So definitely wasn't pleased to hear that. I'm surprised that the workmanship wasn't up to Apple's normal standard. Next thing is, when comparing the screen to the iPad 2, it just wasn't enough difference in detail to make me upgrade. And again, I'll put some links to my other videos on this one so you can see the tests I've done. But screen isn't that much different, and for them to sell that as the main selling point, I thought was just kind of overkill. Okay. The next thing is no Siri. I was definitely disappointed to hear that because I was ready to see Siri on the iPad, and so not having that definitely was a downer. And also, still no expandable memory, no memory card slot, no USB, and also no bigger size. I thought they may have jumped up to a 128 this year, so that was, disappointing to hear. And the last thing was they didn't improve the front-facing camera, which a lot of people are using now for Skype and FaceTime. So I thought they were going to at least bump that up. So anyway, this is my review, pros, mids, and cons on the new iPad. Leave me a comment, let me know what you thought of the video, and subscribe to my channel for more info on iPads and everything else. Have a good one.